This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Hello, folks. What if your favorite beverage could be a climate solution and a solution to poverty? Wouldn't that be interesting? Stick around for today's episode. Welcome to the Super Crowd Presents Superpowers for Good. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I'm grateful to have you here today. I want to pay a special attention to our new guests, our new viewers, new members of the Super Crowd. We're thrilled to have you. I invite you to stick around and watch the entire episode today so you get to learn more about what we're doing here at Superpowers for Good. We highlight change makers in every episode, most often folks like today's guest who are raising capital from the crowd. Oftentimes, and today is a great example of somebody who's running a regulation crowdfunding campaign to raise capital for a business that will change the world and do some good. And you have an opportunity to participate and profit. Stick around. You don't want to miss this. Chef Todd, welcome to the show.
Hey, Devin. Thanks. We're so happy to be here. I
Well,
appreciate you having me on.
yeah, welcome back. It's such a thrill to have you on the show. You were here when you were doing your first Reg CF campaign a year or more ago, and it's exciting to have you back to talk about, how you have relaunched the campaign to raise even more capital and accelerate the growth that you're having at Mutiny Island Vodka. It's such an interesting business. We are focused on the change making, the impact. And I know there are people now in the audience who are saying to themselves, wait a minute, Devin, you're talking about social impact, climate solutions, poverty solutions, and you're telling me there's a vodka that does this. How is that possible, Chef Todd, tell us.
Well, Devin, I'm a chef and I love to cook, and something I love to cook with is called breadfruit. And most people have not heard of breadfruit unless they've been to somewhere tropical. You'll start to see it in Florida. But the magic is really the superfood breadfruit. It's, I can give you a little brief rundown on it. One breadfruit tree will feed a family of four for life. 80% of the world's starving population live in the tropics where breadfruit trees will grow. So we incentivize the planting of breadfruit trees. We're even endorsed by a charity called Trees That Feed Foundation, and we are likely the only spirit company endorsed by a charity. So when we incentivize the planting of these breadfruit trees, these locations where food security is a problem is also usually a place of poverty. So when you have something like breadfruit, which can be turned into flour and nutritious pasta and cheesecake and various things, and vodka, of course, island vodka. It's actually the first in the world, island vodka made from breadfruit. You're also creating economic opportunity for these places that can grow breadfruit, not just for farmers, but as an export. And lastly, breadfruit trees sequester hundreds of tons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, and they're long living. So it's not like using a crop like wheat or corn to where they're cut down annually. This is a long living tree. You simply pick the fruit. It's quite easy to farm, and it keeps on giving. It's the tree that keeps on giving. So any products made from breadfruit that incentivize the planting of the trees, not just island vodka, but all breadfruit products, make this magic happen. So just the premise is you can enjoy your drinks or serve and sell your drinks if you're a restaurant, and save the planet at the same time just by doing what you normally do.
It is amazing to think about the potential impact of the breadfruit and coming from a vodka. So I think what you're saying is that breadfruit is the primary, or maybe it's, I don't know how to distill vodka, Maybe it's the only ingredient. How does that work?
So it's basically similar to normal distillation to get the breadfruit spirit, but breadfruit's a super complex carbohydrate. So to convert a super carbohydrate to sugars which are fermentable, which then creates alcohol, it takes a fair amount of creativity to break down that super complex carbohydrate. A little bit different than say a potato converts to a sugar very quickly. Breadfruit is quite the opposite. You can to give you an idea, it takes the human body about 12 hours to fully digest breadfruit, so it gives you energy all day long. No sugar spikes or anything like that, and yeah.
Well, that is that really is cool, and I love what you're doing. Uh, Tell us a little bit about uh, your chefness and your vodka. It seems like those two things work together in a strategic way, but they're not the same thing. Tell us a little about that.
Okay, so we had the idea to create a business model and wanted it to be an agricultural product. One of the islands we live on used to be known as the food basket of the Caribbean, and it is not so now. They produce maybe less than 1% of their food. So we thought that by bringing agriculture back to the forefront through cooking, through being a chef, if we could somehow make a product that's shelf stable to be an export, that we could actually help the island and create the need for agriculture. And that was born in a kitchen. Had the idea in 2007 and 2017. We got hit by two hurricanes, Irma and Maria, 12 days apart. So we got a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. We got some breadfruit because we had time, right? We didn't have power for 5 months. We made a mash, fermented that mash, and then used basically a pressure cooker from the kitchen to distill it on a propane stove, which is not the wisest thing to do. So I would tell everyone, do not make alcohol on a gas burning stove because it's dangerous. But we were super surprised. It worked, and it was a very, very, very unique spirit, a game changer, really. And we believe it revolutionizes the traditional vodka and spirit industry.
That is fascinating. What an interesting origin story. As you think about the business, you've now been running Mutiny Island Vodka for several years. You did your first uh, crowdfunding campaign a little over a year ago, I think. Give us an update. How are things going? What are you seeing in the business itself?
Well, Devin, we have found that our brand, I mean, we're winning the awards, so the product's obviously good. Mixologists and bartenders love it. But one of the things that has been magical is we've gotten some very big partners to be a small startup brand, such as Hard Rock Cafe or Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Their motto is Save the Planet. Our motto is Better Cocktails, Better Planet. Applebee's, which is doing good in the neighborhood, they all have an altruistic column, or pillar in their businesses. And so when we're able to show them what it actually does, we get aligned pretty quickly. So we've been able to get some great partners like that, and they keep expanding these partnerships because the altruistic components of Mutiny. But our last raise gave us something that we have not had since inception. We got a chief operating officer that ran all the food and beverage operations for American Airlines. As she became a breadfruit lover when we partnered with them, when she retired, she said, I'm going to work for Mutiny. Now that has happened. We have a director of commercial growth who background was with Virgin Voyages, um, building their marketing and growing that brand. So we've been able to get some very heavy hitters on our team that we would not have been able to do otherwise without the crowdfunding investment.
That's phenomenal. It is exciting to see the progress that you're making. And I know you've got lots of fans, customers, and now investors who are cheering you on. Give us a sense of the prospects. What do you see as the growth trajectory potential here? Because like you say, you're getting some great distribution, Applebee's and Hard Rock Cafe. What's the potential in the long run for this business?
Well, I mean, this may sound grandiose, but we are set on becoming a household name, and that's what we want to do with partners like like the Applebee's or Dine Brand or Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. They put us in front of a lot of people, the consumer, and that's how you get the pull from the public to be able to start your true retail type of sales. Um, with that, with that. Since last year, we'll take Florida. Since last year at the same time in Florida, our sales are up 250%. Our online sales, which is very interesting, and I think this is a movement that will continue. Our online sales are up 1,900%, which has been fantastic. And I think we're going to continue to see that growth. The the ambition to become that household name brand is what drives us. But at the same time, as we grow, we're going to continually need to scale to be able to, have that growth. Whether it's adding personnel or having the marketing support needed to support these big accounts.
Yeah, that's great. Now it sounds like there's a thirsty kitty in your house there, Chef Todd.
Yeah, the Sushi, that's the cat's name, decided to make an appearance, but I believe he has left the building.
Okay. Well, it's always fun to have somebody stop in and say hello. Uh, Chef Todd, we love what you're doing for the planet and for people. Have you got any impact stories that you've been able to identify? Some way that maybe your partnership with the charity is connected to helping someone. Have you got a story you can share with us?
Sure. The Trees That Feed Foundation, and if you go online, it's treesthatfeedfoundation.org. They keep an annual report and everything that's going on with them, and even through our crowdfunding project, part of the proceeds actually go to Trees That Feed Foundation to plant a tree. So we try to use every opportunity, whether it's through incentivizing the planting of trees by creating the demand by selling the vodka, or whether, if we're raising money, someone that invests can at the bare minimum know that they've had a tree planted or more, depending on the investment amount, that immediately happens through investing. So we've tried to have a 360-degree view of how we're going to get those breadfruit trees planted. And if you go on the Trees That Feed Foundation site, you'll see work in Haiti, work in Uganda, Central America, Puerto Rico, really, really all around the world. And when you see these people in these communities uplifted, like one of the things they do is provide solar dehydrators to these farmers with the trees, which allows them to produce breadfruit flour. The breadfruit flour is shelf stable. They can then export it. In Haiti, for example, they make a bread called compote, and it's made completely from breadfruit flour, and they're actually now exporting it from Haiti through that work. So it's quite immediate. And the other thing to note is a breadfruit tree is not like your typical tree to where, maybe it's got to be alive 12, 30, 40 years to start producing. The two most resilient trees in the world are the breadfruit tree and the coconut tree. And we've had breadfruit trees that begin fruiting within 18 months of being planted, which is quite incredible.
That really is amazing. That is just amazing. Folks, isn't it interesting as you think about this that here's an opportunity to participate in a fun a fun consumer product that is both helping to save the climate by planting trees and helping to support poverty alleviation efforts. That really is a fun thing. This Chef Todd, we got to take a quick break. But listen, folks, we're going to come back. We're here today with Chef Todd Manley. He is the founder of Mutiny Island Vodka, a great product that is helping to address real problems in our world, both climate and poverty issues. Great product. So I encourage you to check out the opportunity to invest at s4g.biz/mutiny. That'll redirect you quickly to the Start Engine campaign, and you can learn more about it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chef Todd about his superpower. Stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding, the book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savickas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy. Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Struggling to raise capital for your business? Unlock the power of the crowd with AI. My free guide, Crowdfunding Made Simple, walks you through every step to success. Get funded smarter, faster. Scan the QR code now for your free download.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Chef Todd Manley, the founder of Mutiny Island Vodka, here on the Super Crowd Presents Superpowers for Good show. And I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. We've been talking to Chef Todd about his business and the social impact that it has, but we're going to shift gears now to talk to him about his superpower. Stick around. Chef Todd?
Yeah.
I really am impressed by the incredible work that you're doing, the social impact that drives you. And I've just got to ask, what is your superpower?
Devin, I'd given you my superpower before, and I think it remains the same, or either I don't change. But I think my number one superpower is I care, and I'm very happy to have that superpower because it's not found that often. And then when you find someone else that has that same superpower, you tend to really latch onto them, and you end up having great friends for life. And other people that are like-minded around you. And having that is just incredible.
That is a powerful superpower. And, it's something that I try to cultivate. It's easy for me to care about populations. It is easy for me to care about doing good. I struggle at times to care about the individual in front of me. The customer service rep at Comcast who is frustrating me to death, right? Maybe an employee who's struggling to do exactly what I want them to do. How do you, where does that come from? And maybe you could share a story that would help us understand better your superpower of caring.
Sure. Devin, well, I think you already do it. I think you have the same superpower. That's why you have this show. So when it comes to, the Comcast person that's giving you a hard time and everything like that, there's one thing that I try to do, and that's to be aware. So being aware of what other people are possibly going through or are going through and how it affects their emotions, and being kind to try to understand them. And you can make a joke, and even if it's not going well, and you can let them speak, right? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you use the 2 ears and 1 mouth, you can listen very well, and you can find a solution for them as well. That usually does good for both people. I would say an example for it, during the pandemic, we had just opened. We'd been open maybe 3 months, and then they closed us down for 2 years, for the restrictions in the pandemic. we started a company to make the world's first island vodka, and now we couldn't make it, nor could we have any customers to sell it to, which put us behind. But we did notice in the territory, the islands depend on the outside world, not only for food but also medical supplies. And in the pandemic's instance, the entire islands, including the hospital, the police, government officials, the line workers, there was no hand sanitizer or a way to sanitize anything on the island. So we had breadfruit, a lot of breadfruit, and we have a still to be able to produce 196 proof alcohol. So listening to the community, what they needed, and also trying to find a solution for our dilemma of being closed down, we began making hand sanitizer, which then went to the hospitals, the government, all the workers there. So we solved the problem for them, came up with a solution for us to help us survive. And at the same time, it bettered the whole community because we were not without.
That is really an inspiring story. It does exemplify not only the way you care, but also your ingenuity and your deliberate approach to taking advantage of tough situations. I wonder, you gave us a great tip or two about, two ears and one mouth and using them in proportion to be a good listener, because that's so important. Maybe cracking a joke to ease the tension when things are difficult. What other tips would you have for us for developing a genuine care and concern for others, seeing their perspective, fostering empathy? What would you recommend?
Oh wow! Well, first of all, Devin, the I would have to say it is not just me. We have an entire team, whether it's our master distiller, the guy Chris Richardson, who originally perfected our recipe, to Art Wallenweber, who makes the product every day and incidentally made hand sanitizer. Our whole team contributes the same way, and they are all a group of positive people. And I think one of the practices, and this is hard, this is hard, this is so hard, is trying not to use any negative words when you speak. In other words, do not put out any negativity. If you say the word choose a different word and try to say it in a positive way. Don't use the word not or can't or won't. Try to use a solution-based word that says yes, and you can, you will. I don't know how true this is, but I read a lot, and there was a study done in Japan to where they had people speaking to bottles of water while it was not frozen. One set of bottles of water were spoken to negatively. The other ones were spoken to with caring words. And apparently, from what the study says, is that the bottles that were then frozen, the ice crystals became these beautiful works of art with, really differentiated crystals. And then the ones that were spoke to negatively, the crystals were less attractive or unattractive. Don't know if that's true or not, but I like trying to not use any negative words.
I think that's a fascinating tip. And as you think of, it's just wild. But as you think about your superpower, caring, in the workplace, how is it helping you to be genuinely successful in the workplace, to manifest that caring? It's one thing to do it for the benefit of others. What about for the business?
It has been, you will, sometimes caring can get you results that you don't necessarily want, with people that have other intentions. But universally, by caring, I end up finding that I'm surrounded by other people that care, and other people that we want to do business with, and other people that we can do business with that we trust. And that creates a community and a way of doing business that is quite enjoyable to do. And those results and those relationships tend to last an extremely long time, if not indefinitely.
Yeah. Well, Super Crowd members, I've got to think this just feels so relevant to you. As I think about my business and the work that I do, I can also see how when I manifest caring, it makes my business better. I hope you'll see it in your business too. Chef Todd, thank you so much for being with us. In 10 seconds, how can people learn more about Mutiny Island Vodka?
So you can go to mutinyislandvodka.com. You can go to Start Engine, type in Mutiny Island Vodka, or use the link that Devin has provided. And then also Google Breadfruit. I think it's worth a read. It'll be a wormhole that you go down. And when you come up, Devin, we were just featured in Forbes and in the spirit biz, a lot of very industry high profile businesses, publications. And that is because of Breadfruit. I'd like to say it's because
That's
of
great.
but it's because of Breadfruit.
We want to wish you every success.
Thanks, Devin. And thanks to the viewers for watching as well. Super excited to be here and super excited.
All righty. Now let's do some good.